Patricia and Kasia, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
Hey,
thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to be with both of you today. I'm really excited to have a nice conversation in this new year about creative new tactics for HR and retention. And I should say, Happy New Year to everyone, to all my listeners. This is my first recording of the new year, and I'm just super thrilled to have the opportunity to sit down with both of you and have this conversation, especially while we're in the midst of the Great Resignation, the Omicron variant, and organizations are still wrestling with trying to figure out how to attract and retain really great people and keep people safe and healthy, and just juggling everything. It's still a bit of a messy workplace and world of work. And so these are the things we're going to be unpacking and discussing with each other today. As we get started, I wanted to share Patricia and Kasia's bio with everybody. As the CEO and founder of the Atlanta-based Mission Recruit, Patricia Karam is a driving force introducing human design to corporate America. With more than a decade of experience working with Fortune 500 companies nationwide, she launched Mission Recruit with the vision of delivering best-in-class services by combining the sophistication of a large recruiting company with the heart and personalization of a smaller staffing agency. And I could go on, but I'll let Patricia share a little bit more about herself here in just a moment. And I wanted to share Kasia's bio as well. As an HR leader, Kasia I'm going to mess it up. Sorry.
Jakarsezian.
Jakarsezian. Okay. As an HR leader, Kasia Jakarsezian has more than a decade of experience building and scaling teams in the retail and hospitality industries. Most recently, her focus has been on team development and workplace culture. She believes the modern workplace should highlight our human connection by placing the greatest emphasis on employees' individual talents, strengths, and skills. And again, I could go on and on about Kasia's background as well, but I'll let her share a little bit more with all of you. So thank you both. It's a pleasure to have you. Patricia, maybe I'll let you go first. Anything else you would like to share with listeners by way of your background or personal context, and then we'll go over to Kasia.
Yes, of course. And thank you so much for that great introduction, and Happy New Year to you too. So at Mission Recruit, we're a woman-owned and minority-owned staffing firm. We specialize in IT and leadership, and we have three primary pillars, which Jonathan mentioned. It's best-in-class recruiting services, it's keeping the human in HR through human design, and our mission to give back. So we donate locally to survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking.
That's wonderful. And how did you find yourself in this space and starting this company?
Well, I've been in staffing for over 10 years, and I just realized that I just have a huge passion and want to give back. And so whatever way I can be abundant through the company, I want to give back to the community. And so I've always tended to have a soft spot for survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Kasia, anything else you would like to share with listeners?
Yeah, well, thanks again. Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Kasia. I work with Patricia at Mission Recruit, essentially bringing human design into workplaces. And human design is essentially a roadmap to, your most authentic self, who you are. And when your managers learn about that side of you, they really can tap into the most effective way to work with the talent of their team, rather than trying to impose, let's say, a theory or a thought onto a team. It's really you're sort of reverse engineering how to develop and get the best out of them as well. So that's what Patricia and I work on together. I come from a retail and hospitality background, so we have really seen the brunt of it in this pandemic. And it's really forced us to, and me as an HR leader, to really transform the experience of our team. I work with a company that employed over 150 hospitality workers at the beginning of the pandemic. We're now at like a third of that. But outside of that, we've seen some really amazing things happen in the last 2 years that I don't think we could have been able to witness without sort of, the big P word getting into the way.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, the hospitality industry has been hit really hard. So I'm actually curious, because I haven't talked with too many people, specifically within that industry, in terms of how the Great Resignation has impacted that with staffing, and in the labor market being quite unique in that space. What can you share with us about that?
Ooh, how much time do we have to? No, I'm just kidding. I would say the biggest one was we really had to look beyond sort of our P&L statements and what our board was sort of demanding of us, and really dial into what it is that our team loves about working for our company, and how do we dial that up. And how do we make that how do we sort of translate that in a way that's going to invite people to want to come back to work, but also feel as though they not only are valued, but they can also afford their life. And they don't feel overworked, they don't feel stressed, they don't feel overburdened by, sort of carrying that weight of that very front, or that very guest and customer facing role. So for us, it was increasing wages, really looking into our culture values and our company values as well, and how does that impact our bottom line. But at the end of the day, if we don't do this, we aren't able to open and stay open. So it was a fine balance. And that's something that we've had to look at 2 or 3 times in the last 2 years. That isn't something that we just did summer of 2020. That's something we also did at the beginning of 2021, and in Q4 of 2021 as well, going into this new year, increasing people's wages even further, increasing things like benefit packages that we didn't offer before for our whole team. The list can go on.
Yeah. And how has it been trying to recruit and retain people within the hospitality space in comparison, say, to your current company?
Yeah, retaining has been pretty good for us, actually. We sort of anticipated that if people were to leave, we looked at the market and we saw, okay, this is what we would have to be able to offer, and this may not even guarantee the caliber of leader that we want. So we proactively reviewed with our team one-on-one, asked them what it is, that they sort of need from us or want from us, and tried to meet it, and did meet it in a lot of ways, and exceeded that expectation as well. And then what we found in the fall of 2021 was we were seeing business go back to levels, similar to 2019, early 2020, and we were having an issue with a labor shortage. And we also experienced a labor shortage in 2017 as well, when we were trying to expand, and we just weren't finding people who wanted to work. And so we applied some of those strategies that we did in 2017 at the end of last year, and that it's getting there, but it's taking some time. I think there's still a lot of fear, especially now with the new variant, and I'm up in Canada, in Toronto specifically, and we've got some pretty intense restrictions around what we're able to and not able to do as a hospitality business. And so that's also sort of hindering our ability to continue moving forward at this time. But I am, in December, we were really seeing some positive momentum that really showed that our strategies around wages and not just wages, but also just sort of like an entire lifestyle package was what we were offering. We're making some really positive progress that was shaping, the future of the hospitality industry.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that extra background. That's super helpful. And Patricia, I'm wondering if there were other aspects, as Kasia was sharing, that you've seen in terms of your organization's overarching strategy around people management and attraction and retention of great talent during this time.
And it's an ongoing war, and I think the biggest issue is that no one can predict the future. There's no consistency. Everything's always changing. And I always tell people that the pandemic from the very start has highlighted what people individually truly wanted in life and in their career. And so I think that's what's caused a lot of this great resignation. And so I'm working with a lot of clients now, a lot of Fortune 500 companies, mid-sized companies, government agencies. They're asking, how can we recruit on the front end to make sure that our candidates, our future employees, stay? What retention methods should we implement for this? And so, it's kind of a balance. The larger the company, maybe they can be more creative, but the smaller, you have more flexibility, like equity, more time off. When it becomes this big monster of a company, like Fortune 100 clients, which I'm dealing with, so we have to get creative. That's where it gets a little bit harder, and that's where they can kind of play with like 100% remote. But it's just about, to Kasia's point, to what she does is understanding the individual employee and what's most important to them, because it's different for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you said that. As you mentioned, the equity piece, or the time off, the flexibility piece, the scheduling piece, the remote or hybrid working piece, like these are all elements that people are valuing, but people value them differently, right? Different elements motivate people in different ways, and they have different saliency. And so we really just have to know our people, and we have to have the flexibility with our team and within the organization to enact those things that are going to be meaningful and impactful to members of our team. And while that sounds nice, it's trickier to do in practice, especially, as you said, as you get into bigger, more complex organizations, and you're dealing with, issues around equity or perceived inequity issues, and just consistency with policy, practice, and procedure in the organization. Finding the way to strike that balance can really be challenging.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And it's been interesting, and I think it'll continue to be interesting. And I'm excited to see where everything goes with all of this, because it's always changing.
Yeah, Kasia, I'm curious, anything else that specifically is sticking out to you right now as you're considering, first couple quarters of 2022, in perhaps new creative tactics that we can take in terms of retention of really great people, so that they don't jump ship and leave and go to, chase the next offer, where they may get a better salary or a sign-on bonus or something like that. At least it may seem that way. But what way can we do to battle that?
For sure. I think it really comes down to, the leadership team, the executive leadership team of a business and a company as well. Sure, we can design a beautiful compensation package, and your HR team can work on an incredible culture program. But ultimately, if the team doesn't believe in the CEO's vision, it can only really go so far, and they will be tempted. It doesn't matter what kind of nice package you put together. It doesn't really matter if they're not really bought into where the company is going, the direction the company is going. So I would say in Q1, or if it hasn't been done already, going into 2022, executive leadership teams really sitting down and being like, okay, which direction are we heading in this year? How can we foster a sense of safety, foster a sense of resiliency within our business, and still be able to be profitable and be able to pivot? And how do we do that in a way that's going to keep our teams, engaged? And if we can do that, then, hopefully you're minimizing your risk. But at the end of the day, as Patricia was mentioning, radical transparency is part of this sort of new wave of team, of existing. And when you have a CEO kind of be honest, or not even just a CEO, but anyone in a high position of seniority, just being honest and being like, okay, I'm not really 100% sure, but this is what I want to get accomplished, or this is what I want to do. I think that can really create and foster a huge sense of trust amongst the team, and really lower the potential for people leaving.
Yeah, and I really like how you focus in on the radical transparency piece. I think in this day and age, people just have a much higher expectation around mutual accountability and trust being developed within their team and within the organization. And that
Yeah.
transparency piece is core to that. And frankly, millennial, particularly younger millennial and Gen Z workers, they just have zero patience for
Yes.
obfuscation and games and the politicking and just the gaslighting that has become unfortunately so common in a lot of organizations and in many leaders' styles. I see it all the time, and where someone may have been able to get away with it even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, people just aren't putting up with it, and they're taking off to the next opportunity that may be offering more money, but it's not just the money, it's the flexibility piece, it's the scheduling piece, it's the whole total compensation and benefits package that people are looking at. And so we really have to take into account all of those elements, and that culture piece of radical transparency in fostering a psychologically safe culture of mutual accountability and trust. It's just so essential in the new world of work.
I completely agree. If you don't mind me adding on to that, this is why I am so about keeping the human in HR. I think it's so easy to forget that this is a part of HR, the human aspect of it. And I think right now it's definite. Everyone knows it's a candidates market right now. And now candidates have so many options that they're able to find the job that aligns to them authentically.
Yeah.
So the culture piece, key. What are the end goals of the company? What are the technologies they use? It's not one answer. It's a variety of answers based on that individual candidate.
Yeah, and the mission and values alignment between candidates and the organization, and even specifically within the team that they're going to be working with, that is just more important than it's ever been. This is an area where I've done a good amount of research myself, and it's one of the foundational drivers for a lot, particularly for younger people, that they want to see that values alignment. And it's better for the organization, and it's better for the individual. Organizations want people who align with their values and want to contribute to its stated mission. But me as a worker, as an individual within the team, I want to be somewhere where I can get excited and wake up every morning knowing that I'm going to go do work that aligns with my core values. And it's not even about trying to figure out who has the better values. That's not it. It's alignment. It's about having values that are true to the organization and true to your individual authentic self, and then finding a way to align those. And some people just function better in a certain environment, versus another. And we're doing everyone a favor when we can foster that kind of an alignment, for the organization and for the team.
You're absolutely right about that. And I think another thing individuals crave is knowing that they're making an impact, especially with the younger generations, like you mentioned, knowing that they're making a difference in the company and the team some way.
Yeah. And as leaders, taking your ego out of it. If you have someone on your team who wants to pursue a different path, encourage that. Don't be hard done by the fact that they want to pursue or their goals have changed. That's a beautiful thing that you can offer someone on your team, that support and that commitment to see their growth, even if it is outside of the company that you're currently working for. That's incredibly memorable for them as well.
Yeah, it's meaningful, impactful, and memorable. And I mean, we all know that there are limitations. There is scarcity of resources that an organization has to wrestle with. And so whatever organization I may be working with, I know that they're going to want to try to keep up with market trends and compensation and benefits. But there's just the reality of keeping the doors open, making payroll and all of that. And it's a challenge, and people aren't stupid. They know that. they may not always be super patient with it, but I think most people, especially if they've been around and they buy into the mission and the values of the organization, they know that, they understand it, they're going to be patient with it. But they want to know that they're going to have opportunities for continual growth and development so that they're not going to stagnate in their career. And people are willing to put up with slightly below market level pay or benefits packages if they are being invested in by their organization, if they know that they're being empowered to grow and develop, and they know that they have a great leader who is going to coach them and mentor them and give them the opportunities that they'll need to grow into their next opportunity. When we have leaders like that, we tend to thrive, and we're just willing to put up with a lot more of perhaps the slight lagging pay issues or benefits issues. Not to say that, we want to give organizations a pass and not trying to stay up to market, but it's just the reality that organizations are facing. And that development piece, that ongoing growth piece, is one that we just shouldn't forget about.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, Patricia and Kasia, this has been a really fun conversation. I know at the time I'm going to have to let you go here in a few minutes, but before we close today, I wanted to give you both a chance to share with listeners how they can get connected with you, with your team. Give us any final pitch that you have around some of your products and services, and then give us a final word on the topic for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you for having us. And to go along with this whole topic of conversation, keeping the human in HR, whether you're a leader looking for a job, you're on a team trying to get promoted, just always remember that in every aspect, and always remember the end goal. We offer human design. Actually, Jonathan, it would be cool if we could do that for you sometime. Offline, I'll email you, and Kasia could do a human design assessment for you. But we do individual assessments and also team workshops. And you can find us at our website, missionrecruit.com, and we're on all the socials, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we would love to hear from anyone and everyone.
Wonderful. And anything else you would like to say, Kasia?
Yeah, adding on to what Patricia said, we've developed a roadmap that helps you understand who you are, how to be yourself, how to optimize your team's performance and experience without all of the personal development noise. And so our goal is to really help people understand their decision-making styles, their leadership styles, and learn as leaders how to recognize and leverage the contributions of everyone on your team. So check us out at missionrecruit.com, and feel free to send us an email if you've got any questions. We'd be happy to help.
Wonderful, wonderful. It has really been a pleasure talking with you both today. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to share your insights and your experience with me and my listeners. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.